When you're watching A Quiet Place, day one, I just feel I've been a fan of The Quiet Place. You know what I mean? Those movies, A Quiet Place. I remember when I watched the first one, I was like, "Wow, this is such a nice concept, a good take on the horror. You know, using the sound. You know what I mean, to really make the villains something to fear, really." And I was just kind of like, man, it would just change the whole world. It would change my whole life. You know what I mean? It would be really difficult to live a life, let alone a family in this world. And it kind of gripped me early on when, spoiler alert for the movie, but it's like their little boy died. I was just kind of like, oh man, that sucks. It was like, oh man, that's terrible. Now, A Quiet Place Day One takes place in New York, and I think in concept, this movie is really good. I think it's kind of like a great example of like doing a prequel of like this is how things started in a different place, or like this was the first day, and they kind of guide you through it. I think for me, it's not really the full movie. Does not take. It's not a full, or maybe it is. I don't really know. It's just kind of like I like the concept of it, and then what we actually got, I was kind of all right with it. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was bad by any means, but I just feel like I guess I wanted a little bit more. I don't know how to best explain it. It's kind of like the first. I really think the first movie was so strong, was so powerful that the other ones, in comparison, feel kind of. The second one was also good, but it wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't have that pizzazz to it. But this one, there's kind of like I don't know what the right word is. This A Quiet Place Day One is really a movie about finding the will to live, or like reasons to live. You know what I'm saying? The whole movie, we see Lupita Nyong'o try to get pizza from this one place in Brooklyn, and I was just kind of like, what? Can't you just? I was like, why is she doing this? This is so dumb. And then I remember like, oh yeah, she has cancer. Like every now and then I'll remember like watching the movie. I'll forget that she has cancer. I'll just be like looking at her and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. She has cancer in this movie. And I just kind of was like, all right, yeah, I get it. Like she's dead already. You know what I mean? She's already gonna die. You know what I mean? And might as well get some pizza out of it. And I kind of thought that was funny. But then we see that she's kind of like, quote unquote, dragging somebody else down with her, Joseph Quinn's character. And I mean, not dragging down. He makes the choice to follow her, to stay with her, to go through it together. And there is this really good moment between the two of them in the bar, or like at the club or whatever it is. And they're kind of doing like that magic show. They're kind of doing that extra stuff. Kind of like just some fun, like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? They can still be funny and goof around and, be social or have like, daydreams or whatnot. You know what I mean? In the midst of all the alien, the Death Angels or whatever you want to call them, the takeover of the world, essentially. And I thought that was cute. I just, for the life of me, I just wanted them to keep on fighting the Death Angels, or the aliens. I just kind of was like, I thought it was going to be a lot more, quote unquote, survival. I guess that's the wrong word. There's plenty of survival in the movie. I don't know. I just think that there needed to be, or there was going to be, a lot more to this than what we got. You know what I mean? And then some of the characters I kind of like already suspected were going to get killed off, like the guy who Alex Wolff's character. at the beginning of the movie. When I saw him, I was like, yeah, he's gonna. I was like, yeah, they're gonna kill him, and then Joseph Quinn's gonna take his place. Like, he's not gonna be in the movie that long. And then I forget the guy's name. He was the other guy that they saw in the theater. He was in the second one too. But I know in the second one that he kind of gets killed off. So I was like, they just brought him back for like 5 minutes just to show us, just to really show us the thread of like he was alive and now and then 100 days later, you know what I mean? He gets killed off. So I was just kind of like, this is so not it. It just kind of took me out of it a little bit, I won't lie, but I did like the part where Joseph Quinn is running away. Like, this is at the end of the movie. I like the part of the movie when he's running away and he jumps into the water with the cat in his arms. I was like, dude, you're going to drown the cat. What are you doing? Like, I thought that was crazy. I thought that was wild, but I did like that she trusted him enough to keep the cat alive and to, you know what I mean? Which is not a good idea because that cat nearly got them killed a few times. And it's not like cats are always so quiet. I mean, I guess they're more quiet than dogs, but in comparison, I just feel like carrying that cat around was not the smart move. Anyways, compared to the other two, I think this is definitely not the strongest one. And I think it's mainly because I can't get on board with her just wanting to get pizza. Like, I just, maybe that's just a me thing. You know what I mean? It's like the first two movies is like you're seeing a family try to survive. You're trying to see a family beat these monsters. You're trying to see them like win, and essentially their goal is to like live their life and kill the aliens. You know what I mean? That's what the dad was doing. He was studying them and he was like trying to protect his family and take care of his family, start his family over. Like he was coming up with ideas and ways to stop them. You know what I mean? Whereas in this one, obviously nobody was expecting it, and then bad things happen, obviously. But I don't know. I kind of wish they did more with the maybe with the military, right? Like, I feel like it's New York City, that would be the biggest idea. I would have liked it if somebody came up with like the sound idea before or somebody realized the sound idea the same way that the daughter did in like in the first and second movie. They found out that like the high pitch of it, like if sound is their great strength, it's also their biggest weakness. And so I kind of wish that they had figured that out as well, but then they die. So it's like they figured it out, but they're not as careful or as safe or as lucky as the daughter. So they get killed. You know what I mean? Just to show that like just because you have the answer doesn't mean that guarantees you're gonna live. Does that make sense? I also think that for most of the movie, we kind of just see obviously Lupita Nyong'o go through what she's going through. I just feel this concept, I feel like the idea of like day one in New York City with like a huge population of people, I think there could have been more of a quote unquote ensemble of a cast. I think there could have been more people with different motivations and different ideas, but that's the thing, right? It's like, for me, my motivation in that situation is to get to safety, get on a boat and escape. You know what I mean? Find a way to escape. Their kind of idea is that like, we're going to take this big detour to get some pizza. And I was just kind of like, I get what they're going for here. I just that's why it makes it so difficult for me to like. It just makes it difficult for me on any level to connect because I'm just like, we got to get to safety. We got to, and eventually they do. You know what I mean? Eventually they pretend or, fake getting the pizza and then they go to the boat for safety, or at least Joseph Quinn does. At least Joseph Quinn goes and gets to safety, because he wants to live. The Lupita Nyong'o, she found life again. She was kind of like hating her life. She hated having cancer. She wasn't really living. And then all of a sudden these aliens come out of nowhere and now she's starting to appreciate life. And now she's like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to have some pizza, It's kind of just like, she was kind of like already done, But then she finds it again through Joseph Quinn, through their time together. She's kind of like, hey, you made me feel good about myself again. And you reminded me of like friendship and how we can be cool or whatnot, I don't know. I think A Quiet Place Day One is not what I expected it to be. It's definitely good, but it's not better than the other two. I think the other two, there was more of like, obviously it was more of like a family story. You're seeing one family go through this ordeal, and through their eyes and through their circumstances, I can like empathize or sympathize. Like, I have a family, I want to protect them, and it's just kind of like you can relate to them on that level. I don't have cancer, okay? I'm not, I don't loathe myself or my situation. I don't, and I also don't live in the loudest city, one of the biggest cities in the world, New York City, with, a very loud, with very loud cars and people and all kinds of noise going on there. So I don't know. I feel like there were parts of it that I just couldn't relate to. But then when the parts did get relatable, or when I could understand somebody, then it kind of was like, all right, let's get the ball rolling. And then where are these things? Where are the death angels? Where are they? How are we gonna fight these things? You know what I mean? What's the answer? But the truth is, there is no answer yet until the daughter starts, until she uses her, what's it called? Hearing aids? Is that what it's called? Yeah. Until she uses her hearing aids to, screech into the aliens' ears, and they could just kind of like, yeah, you know what I mean? Go crazy. I think the idea of more movies, or another movie where they show, what's it called? Obviously they're looking for, this, they're looking at this as like a franchise, but I just don't know if they'll bring back Joseph Quinn, or if he'll like have a cameo. Like, I have no idea what they're planning with this. It just kind of seems like, is there a version of these things that get killed? You know what I mean? And I think the short-term answer is yes, there is hope to kill them. I just don't know if there's a legit, what's the right word? I guess the idea is that like they play the sound on her hearing aids, and then that incapacitates them, and then you can shoot them and kill them. You know what I mean? And that's their fighting chance. That's what's going to save the day, But is that going to save everybody? And I don't know. realistically. And the grand and the large and the big picture of this whole thing is, how do we stop them? You stop them with hearing, you stop them with sound, that's their greatest weakness, So that's how you're supposed to beat them, but is that enough? And I think this movie didn't really give us any extra insight. It only just gave us characters going through like legit the worst day of their lives, and a woman with cancer, and we kind of have to see her, find life again. She has to find strength in herself, strength to essentially overcome her disease. She's not just a woman with cancer, she's a human being. She's a person who hasn't really been doing the things that she wants to do because she feels like the disease held her back. And then she realizes that it doesn't, and she can kind of die in peace. I don't know. It seemed very, what's going to happen, Now, is Lupita Nyong'o dead? I have no idea. I mean, I assume she's dead because they just landed right behind her and they were like, oh, somebody made a noise. Let me go see what it is. And she's also dying of her cancer, and I don't think they're going to have like the medicine she needs to last a long time. So she's more of a liability. So I would say, yes, the Death Angels kill her, and I guess it's really better that way. So that way she doesn't die due to her disease. She dies to these alien monsters that are just like terrible. It's awful to get killed by them, but at least it's going to be on her terms. You know what I mean? At least she's going to die because she wants to, not because the disease puts her on a ticking time clock and she can't live her life anymore, And that's where I feel like I connected to her character. I was able to understand her a lot better, and I was able to see that, like, oh, it's constantly on your mind, and you just kind of want, you want it to end. You want it to go down, So, what do I think of Joseph Quinn's character? Well, he's obviously going to be taking care of the cat. Maybe he'll come up in like a third, like A Quiet Place Part 3. I don't know. There's too much questions surrounding this whole thing. And I feel like, I don't know if this is like a global thing. I honestly can't tell you if it's like all over the world, or maybe it is and I just don't remember from the first and second one. But as far as I know, it's just in the States. Now, if it's global, then it's like, all right, this little girl really will save the entire world. But if it's just in America, or just like in the North America, then it's just kind of like, is it real? Like, is it a possibility? And I just like to think that I think maybe, just maybe, they're going to go the militaristic route in the next one, because she's going to have the hearing thing, but they need to replicate it. They need to make it on a bigger scale. So she's playing it on the radio or whatnot, but that's not enough to win. They need to make every radio station have that. And then they have to draw out the, like, how do they repopulate? Is there one gigantic, like, mother, or is it like multiple, or can all of them like have procreate? Like, what's the situation? There's just so much behind it that we don't know. And It's exciting. It comes up with theories. It's just kind of like, I don't know. And then we have the one dude's family. So he was supposed to get back to his family, but he died. So maybe we'll get to see that family. I don't know. I would hope, but it seems like he's more of like just a tragic character of the Quiet Place universe. He doesn't really get to live a peaceful and happy life. He just kind of is there to die, and he's just another casualty, you know? Obviously, he helped the, which is Cillian Murphy and the daughter, but that was it. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out in my brain, just like Emily Blunt is out there and they're just, she had a baby. She's barely hanging on. I just don't know. I don't know if they would realistically bring Emily Blunt back, but I imagine so. It's just, you never know what's going to happen with these movies. So, if I had to rate this movie, maybe I shouldn't rank it. Maybe I should just leave it where it is. It's like, it's at the bottom of all of these Quiet Place movies. I like the first one the best. The second one was really good. Well, I don't know. The second and first one are kind of a toss-up for me, but I think I'm going to go the first one, and then the second one, and then this third one is at the bottom. And then, what do I think they might do with it next? I don't know. There have been talks about like maybe a show around it, like a real show, centered around this thing. And I think that's an okay idea. I think they should just stick to the movies, because maybe that would be the best idea. But if they made it into a show, they could probably stretch it out amongst, I don't know, 8-10 episodes, and they could really get us on board with some more characters, some other alternatives to, you know, another way to stop the aliens other than, well, obviously they would have to use sound, but let's say they would use a particular kind of sound to lure them in and then kill them. I don't know. That's the thing. It just feels like with sound, it's so tricky, because it's like any noise you do make, it's food for them, you know? Whereas if you just do like, what's it called? Well, with like dinosaurs, or like with Jurassic Park, they would do it like, don't move. It can't see in the dark or whatever. And it's like, that's not true, but you know what I mean? They come up with like various ways to get around getting killed by dinosaurs. But in this movie, it's like, you can't make any noise, so there's no dialogue, there's no strategy. We can't really learn from the characters talking all that much to each other in the dangerous situations. I don't know. I guess it's just dependent on how you use the situation. Anyways, I'm just rambling at this point. I don't know. It's mainly because I don't see where this story could go any further, except for the top of the top. The daughter's gonna get her hearing aids on the radio for now, and then that's gonna be replicated possibly all over the world, and that's gonna give us the opportunity to kill to kill the aliens, the Death Angels, and now essentially the dad, John Krasinski, saved the world by creating that hearing aid for his daughter. And that he died a hero for them. Tragic. But anyways, at the end of it all, when you're watching A Quiet Place Day 1, imagine yourself in New York City. What would you do? And for me, I would definitely lay low, and then when the moment is just right, I would run to the lake just like Joseph Quinn. I'd just run like crazy into the water, and then I would try to swim to the boat and make it. That would be my best choice. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.